Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss learning from others and reviewing the literature. There are two topics which we are going to discuss today's lesson. Number one, conceptual framework, and number two, definition of terms. But before we're going to discuss these topics, let me ask you this question first. What is the seventh commandment of God? The seventh commandment of God is found in the Holy Bible in Exodus 20, verse 15. Thou shalt not steal. Now, what is the connection of stealing in our topic today? This is very much related to plagiarism. It is worthwhile to remember that plagiarism plays a vital role in research paper writing, especially in citing the review of related literature. You should know plagiarism is a form of stealing. It is a punishable offense, and it is a form of intellectual theft. Plagiarism is applicable for writing or website articles, but it is also applicable in stealing intellectual property like music, images, videos, and even choreography of a dance. Now, there are four types of plagiarism. Number one, mosaic plagiarism. Number two, accidental plagiarism. Number three, self-plagiarism. And number four, paraphrasing plagiarism. Mosaic plagiarism occurs when a student borrows phrases from a source without using quotation marks or finds synonymous for the author's language while keeping the same general language. Accidental plagiarism occurs when citations are missing. Sources are cited incorrectly, or an author shares an idea without a citation that is not as common of knowledge as they are. Paraphrasing plagiarism involves making few changes to someone else's work, then passing it off as your own. What is self-plagiarism? If someone reuses his own work again without the permission of the professor. In this case, you are cheating your own work by recycling your old output without asking the opinion of your teacher to use your previous old research as a requirement for another subject. The writer must keep in mind that the citation must include all the works he is utilizing as a reference, even if the work is a previous work of the same writer. Now, what are the impacts on the grade of the students on plagiarism? First, this will be an instance for academic misconduct, and therefore, the student may get a bad degree or even probation as a result. Second, considering the institution's stand on plagiarism, the student can get a failing grade in that semester, affecting the student's academic career adversely. In some educational institutions, this is a serious offense which may lead to suspension or may lose the credibility of being an honor student. If self-plagiarism is being done by a writer, then the publishing house can take action against him, considering their policies. Besides this, the writer may lose his set of readers because of the credibility issue. Now, what is the connection of plagiarism in our topic today? Why are we talking plagiarism in connection to writing conceptual framework? As a researcher, you should always remember that in writing conceptual framework, you have to avoid plagiarism, which is a form of cheating or stealing others' work. So what is a conceptual framework? A conceptual framework represents the researcher's synthesis of literature on how to explain a phenomenon. Conceptual framework maps out the actions required in the course of the study given his previous knowledge and other researchers' point of view and his observation on the subject of research. The researcher's understanding of how the particular variables in his study connect with each other. According to McGaghie et al. 2001, conceptual framework sets the stage for the presentation of the particular research question that drives the investigation being reported based on the problem statement. That is why the statement of the problem is known as the heart of the research paper because it circulates to all parts from chapter 1 to 5, and one of it is the conceptual framework. The conceptual framework lies within a much broader framework called theoretical framework. The latter draws support from time-to-time tested theories that embody the findings of many researchers on why and how a particular phenomenon occurs. Let's try to read this example of conceptual framework. This is coming from other researchers' work. A framework which builds a theoretical foundation upon which the research is based and provides a wider perspective for this study is the concept of effectiveness and durability of two flashlights with different power source. The theory of Alessandro Volta identifies the direct conversion of sunlight into energy by means of solar. Solar cells are composed of various semiconducting materials. Semiconductors, materials which become electrically conductive when supplied with light or heat, but which operate as insulators at low temperature. The usable voltage from solar cells depends on the semiconductor material. The conversion process is based on the photoelectric effect discovered by Alexander Bacquerel. The photoelectric effect describes the release of positive and negative charges carriers. So that is the example of a conceptual framework. Now, let's proceed to the step-by-step guide on how to make the conceptual framework. Number 1, do a literature review. Review relevant and updated research on the theme that you decide to work on after scrutiny of the issue at hand. Number 2, isolate the important variables. Identify the specific variables described in the literature and figure out how these are related. Number 3, generate the conceptual framework. Build your framework using your mix of the variables from the scientific articles you have read. Your problem statement serves as a reference in constructing the conceptual framework. Your research should address a knowledge gap. Now, what is a knowledge gap or research gap? It is a discrepancy between what is known and what should be known. This can be achieved by discussing previous studies to identify what is missing in either methodology, theory, and literature in general. This definition is taken from the website https://www.researchgate.net post. Now, there are steps on how to formulate the definition of terms in your research as our second topic for this lesson. Number 1 step, definition of terms is usually located after the scope and delimitation. It is recommended to use one paragraph for each term that you define. This simply means that you have to indent the first word of the sentence of the paragraph you are defining. Number 3, many writing manuals suggest starting with adjective and noun combinations. Number 4, do not forget to specify what combinations of verbs and adjectives mean in your research. Number 5. One of the most important thing to keep in mind is to define your own terms. Number 6. It is necessary to mention that you need to cite sources from where you borrow definitions. Number 7. To prepare a strong definition section, you will have to use many dictionaries, as each of them provides a slightly different meaning, and it takes some effort to choose the most appropriate definitions. Number 8. The length of your definition paragraph depends on the number of definitions you want to provide. So, make sure to select the key terms. Number 9. Your definition of terms should be arranged alphabetically. Now, you try to look at this example. As you can see, the word electricity is being indented. That means that you are making a paragraph form of your definition of terms. So, this is how it looks like. Electricity is a form of energy that comes in positive and negative charges that occur naturally as in lightning or as produced as in generator. Okay, that is all about definition of terms. Now, let's proceed to this question. As a researcher, how do you compare stealing from plagiarism? Number 2, what is your greatest realization after knowing the consequences of plagiarism? Express your answer in 2 sentences. Now let me ask you again this question. What is the connection of plagiarism in research? You are going to give your feedback during our follow-up discussion next meeting. That ends our discussion for today. Thank you for listening and watching. More power to everyone. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe so that every time I post or upload new videos, you will be updated or notified. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day to everyone. Ad maiorem Dei gloriam.